Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Serene Ball Talk, a place where people who enjoy basketball can congregate for intellectual and sometimes biased conversations about the current events of the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Brand new channel. Just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Follow all socials linked in the bio to stay in tune and on top of everything going on in this community. So, as you can see by the title of the video, today I want to talk about the idea of superstar whistle and inconsistent officiating going on in the NBA currently in the playoffs. Every series I've watched so far feels like there are games that are being called one way, right? Not a lot of consistency regarding the whistles, not a lot of good calls. A lot of some games are very physical, other games are very you know, just very tic tac, very soft, very just very what's the word I want to use? Very indecisive when it comes to the officiating and what is and is not a foul. A big perpetrator of this is the Pistons Knicks series, right? Jalen Brunson has been on a rampage towards the referees. He has been flopping like no other. Like it's getting bad. It's getting really ridiculous. All over social media and Twitter, they're putting together flop compilations of him falling to the ground and just looking for a call, trying to bait the refs into blowing the whistle. Even in the game, I saw the clip of him holding up six fingers. I said holding up his six fingers when Asura Thompson gets fouled out because of his egregious just flopping and things like that. It's getting to a point where some players are becoming unwatchable. When I say the NBA is becoming unwatchable, there's been a lot of great basketball these past few days, but some players are taking a strong advantage of the rules as they should. You know what I mean? Being able to draw fouls, being able to draw contact, sell a call is a skill in itself. Being able to get to the line, being able to get a free throw is very important to your team. It gets the other team into foul trouble. It opens up a lot of the offense. It's extremely important, but I have to blame the officials for what they deem is a foul, right? In the Pistons versus Knicks series, in game two, Jalen Duren and Asura Thompson were pretty much in foul trouble all game for a lot of the same calls that they were not receiving on their end on their offensive possessions. It feels like the referees were giving a very favorable whistle towards the Knicks end of the towards the Knicks and specifically Jalen Brunson when trying to get to the basket. I'm not completely against Jalen Brunson doing it because he's only 6'2". I believe that a lot of small guards have to get to the free throw line to really take over and dominate a game, try and open up the offense because they're working at a height disadvantage most times. Trae Young, Chris Paul, guys like that, they're all more likely to get calls to go their way simply because they're playing at such a disadvantage. But I feel like a lot of people, including myself, have a great issue with that subjectivity of foul calls when it comes to certain players because, again, you would see a taller player like LeBron James, Cade Cunningham, sometimes Julius Randle not get these same calls that a lot of these smaller players are getting when they're being almost doubled, quadruple teamed when driving to the rim, right? And this leads to a lot of problems and things of that nature when just trying to watch the game, it slows the game down, messes up flow. Coaches can challenge calls now. So that slows the game down a lot. And it makes, room for commercial breaks, room for stoppages, interruptions. There's things that fans really don't want to see when it comes to just watching playoff basketball at the height of the season. We slog through 82 games, watching your favorite team, your favorite players, things of that nature to get to this point. You don't want refs and just an overall subjectivity of the nature of how they call things to really get in the way of what you've waited for all season. You don't want your team's season to end because you felt they got screwed by refs. It's a terrible feeling, right? Granted, an NBA playoff series is 7 games. You get way more leeway in that regard than other sports, but even then, it's just you want fairness, you want equity, right? Equality rather, right? When it comes to who's getting what foul calls, right? Again, Jalen Brunson, he's been on a tear, but one of the bigger offenders this postseason has been Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is 7'3", roughly 200, or no, not 7'3", 7 foot, 280 pounds, right? And in the game two versus the Clippers, he was egregious in a lot of his foul calls. From the selling the charge that he took on the wing from James Harden to pretty much jumping on Chris Dunn and then falling over to make it look like Chris Dunn initiated the contact. He is trying everything he can to win his series, which I understand where he's coming from, right? He's pretty much playing very very short-handed. James Harden, Ivica Zubac, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard went nuclear in their game, 15 and 19 for 39 points. He was unreal, one of the best games I've ever seen. So I understand why he would have to do that, but it's up to the refs more so. When someone is not making a legitimate basketball play to try and get to the hoop, to try and get to the rim, and things of that nature, you can't give him those calls. You have to be able to discern what is and is not a real shot attempt, or what is and truly what is forcible contact when it comes to off ball or a lot of personal foul plays away from the ball, right? Like the charge that Nikola Jokic, that was from the charge that Nikola Jokic took from James Harden, that was absolutely a charge. Jokic sold it. He fell completely backwards. You know what I'm saying? Getting knocked off your feet by the 6'5" guard at 7 foot 280 is laughable. Like, we know that that's not enough. But when it comes to things like him jumping on Chris Dunn, pretty much grabbing his face and then falling over to make it look like Chris Dunn shouldered him, that's when we have to look deeper and really analyze the play to see what is truly going on and what is really just what is or is not a reasonable foul call. We have to be able to actually see what is a real foul call, and on top of that, the love has to be shown to both teams. Right now, the Nuggets have a 21 free throw attempt advantage over the Clippers. The free throw discrepancy in the Nuggets Clippers series is 49-28 between two games. And that's ridiculous, especially seeing as how much Ivica Zubac rose to the rim, seeing as how often James Harden is driving to the rim, along with Kawhi Leonard, guys who are constantly working around in that mid-range, close shot, free throw line, low block area. It makes no sense that there's such a discrepancy when the only person really, or the only two people rather, really going to the rim for the Denver Nuggets are Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic. It just doesn't make sense that there's such a large discrepancy on such tic-tac, simple, like very minute foul calls. You know what I mean? And it's hurting the game a lot because it just slows the game down, again, like I said, and it also seems as though teams are getting screwed. Like, it doesn't seem like there's any consistency in any of the foul calls being made. And it just seems like refs are doing it offhand, just however they feel at that moment. Oh, this is a foul, but this one isn't. Yeah, you got hit by three people, but you're strong, so no one cares. Oh, the small guard gets run over. Again, he goes to the hoop, small contact to the arm, he's going to go to the line. It doesn't seem very fair to both sides. And that really brings me to the Golden State Warriors, right? Not necessarily their series more so, but just since Jimmy Butler has gotten there, Jimmy Butler has played 30 games, right, with the Golden State Warriors since he was traded. In those 30 games, he has 11 games played with 10 or more free throws. Stephen Curry is only averaging 4 free throw attempts on this season and has only had 3 games with 10 plus free throw attempts in his 70 games played this season. The reason I bring this up is because Stephen Curry is seeing a lot of physical defense away from the ball. Like, if you're really watching the games, he's getting oftentimes doubled off ball. People are grabbing him to stop him from running around his pin down screens, his off ball screens. Like, they're really holding on to him, and things that would be, in most cases, considered a foul. But he's only averaging 4 attempts a game. He's not really getting a lot of calls and would have what I would consider to be the worst whistle in the NBA. Like, he's really not being given a lot of these calls that most players would get. And it's crazy to see it with Jimmy Butler on his team, who is getting almost every call when he drives to the rim. Jimmy Butler, if you see any slight contact or anything, he's great at selling a call and really drawing a foul, which is honestly opening up this Golden State Warriors offense, and is a large reason why they were able to go on their large win streak during the season after his acquisition, because he is actually being able to put these defenders into foul trouble. But Steph should also be able to do that if the games were called fairly, I feel. It doesn't make much sense to have two players with such opposite foul whistles, like just such different foul drawing tendencies on the same team. It really looks ridiculous when you actually watch them play. You would think that they would get a similar amount of free throw attempts, but they do not. Jimmy Butler is doubling his free throw attempts on the season. And since Jimmy has gotten to Golden State, he's averaging about 7.7 free throw attempts a game to Steph's like 4.3. So it's just really crazy to see it. And when you have guys who are truly selling fouls, that would also bring me to the Timberwolves-Lakers game 2, right? The Timberwolves came back down to earth after their historic game 1 shooting performance, 50% from 3, 21 to 42. They were hot like Magic City on a Friday night. It was ridiculous. They blew the doors off the Staples Center. But in game 2, the Timberwolves got in a lot of foul trouble very early. Like before halftime, I want to say early third quarter, they had 2 players with 4 fouls, and Dante DiVincenzo had 4 fouls. Naz Reid had 4 fouls, and then Julius Randle had 3 fouls coming out of halftime. That is crazy, right? And that also really contributed to their deficit, because the Timberwolves could not run their lineup that I've been talking about a lot, where they can go ultra small ball, out rebound, and defend the Lakers really well. It kept Rudy on the floor in a lot of isolation situations. Rudy did not give up a lot of points in isolation, actually, although it seemed like he was getting beat a lot. I believe the stat said that Luka was 1 of 4 on him and LeBron was 0 of 4 when guarded by Rudy as the primary defender. Austin Reeves finished 2 of 4, as you know, saying he's just a smaller guard, way more agile. Rudy doesn't really have a chance there. But he played very well in isolation, but he just wasn't mobile enough to move around on the perimeter and really help those rotations and things of that nature. And that's really due because the Lakers are just able to get the Timberwolves in foul trouble with a lot of very, very, very questionable calls throughout the first half. It just felt like the refs were not being fair when it came to the whistle. And one of the most egregious examples really was the Julius Randle flagrant foul on LeBron James that was then rescinded, where Randle goes up for a layup and then LeBron slides under him and gets hit in the face, or with very, what I would consider, minimal contact. It didn't seem like LeBron really got hit very hard, and LeBron is on the ground selling it. And then there's a clip of LeBron peeking out under his eye like this, looking at the Jumbotron to see if they're trying to review the call. Like, it's stuff like that that's really slowing the game down and is hurting and really watering down the product to a lot of people who enjoy basketball. And it's up to the refs, right? A lot of people believe that whistle is based around player popularity. Like a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo gets a lot of calls. LeBron gets a decent amount of calls. I wouldn't say he gets every single call, but he does. Like say he chirps at the refs a lot. He gets a good amount of calls. He's averaging about 8 free throws in the season. Same with Luka. Luka, we know, will talk to the refs, but he also does get his fair share of calls. He's averaging about 7 free throws himself on the season. SGA, of course, gets a lot of calls. So those guys, the guys that you see in the forefront of a lot of ads, stuff like that, a lot of people believe that superstar, they call it superstar whistle, but they believe that players who are extremely popular, players who are really well known around the league and around the, again, NBA circles, are going to get more calls. And while I don't necessarily subscribe to that rhetoric, I do believe that longer tenured players, a guy like LeBron, a guy like James Harden, for example, they're going to get more calls, but they're also, drawing fouls is a talent, but it's a talent that abuses the discretion of referees. And it's truly just up to the NBA officials, just let the games be more physical. You have to be able to set a consistent precedent to help players understand what is or what is not a foul and how you can actually defend, and help even out the playing field for both sides. You can't have LeBron telling the refs that you're finally calling fouls, to abbreviate the profanity in that. And then Anthony Edwards saying it's a tech when I do it, while they're talking to the refs on the sideline, because it just shows that lack of consistency all around in the officiating in the NBA, something that we've talked about for many seasons, many years. And I feel like it's really coming to a head in the social media area where a lot more stuff is online. Players and fans can really analyze the clips and see, wow, there's a lot more going on when it comes to being subjective with foul calls. So again, let me know down in the comments what you think, if the superstar whistle phenomenon is going to hurt the league, or if you think that it's okay and that players who are good at drawing contact and drawing fouls should just be allowed to play their game. Again, like, comment, subscribe, follow all socials. See you guys next time.